Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
From makeshift studios deep in the heart of Stately Maine Manor, this is the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I am your host, Joey Harris. You can follow the show's Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. You can email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. Back with another bonus show, folks, as we celebrate 10,000 downloads. And going through my life now since I've had this surgery, I noticed that I have to watch my energy levels. I'm realizing that I am still not that far removed from having major surgery, and I'm also not 18 anymore. The regular things that I used to do in life, going to go check the mail, going outside to get something, so on and so forth, I'm wiped out after I come back, and I just have to take it easy for a bit. I'm trying different things, but can only eat about a quarter of a cup of food at a time, so very limited still in what I can eat. I have reintroduced coffee into my diet, although it is decaf, and so far so good. Today, we take a look at Payback 2016, and other than a few special events, I have initiated a 5-year limit on this show of the shows that I cover. So nothing newer than 5 years. So this is the newest show that we're covering, Payback 2016. Payback 2016 was a pay-per-view and network event that took place on May the 1st, 2016 from the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. There were 13,250 people in attendance. We start with the New Day coming to the ring. They welcome everyone to Payback. They talk about the number one contenders match for their championship. They finish with the New Day Rocks chant. We then go to our Payback intro. Enzo and Cass versus the Vaudevillians, Simon Gotch and Aiden English. Enzo and Cass come out and do their spiel. It is over, I will give them that. Their promo on the Vaudevillians goes on too long, though. Michael Cole, JBL, and Byron Saxton welcome us to Payback. They introduce the German announce team. Then the Spanish announce team gets introduced. Enzo and Gotch start. Check out some shoot interviews comments that these two have had on each other. They aren't fans. Enzo covers and Gotch bridges out. Gotch with an arm breaker on. Gotch with a couple of shoulder tackles. Enzo with a drop kick. English tagged in. Cass tagged in. He slaps English in the corner. Enzo comes in. He and Cass do some double team moves. Enzo then tagged in. Cass throws him on English for a 2 count. English gets his boots up on an Enzo corner charge. Gotch in, and he throws Enzo to the outside, and his head whiplashes on the bottom rope. They call for medical personnel as the bell rings. It's a pretty serious bump. An Enzo chant goes out as he is loaded on the stretcher. And folks, I am not an Enzo fan, but this was a nasty, brutal bump, and I'm glad that he did recover from this. Flashback to what has led to the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match. This is really well done. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Owen yelling at Zayn, who hits him, then they exchange blows. Zayn throws Owens out, then it's a tope onto him. Zayn is fired up. Owens whipped into the barricade. Back in, Zayn hits a heel kick. Back and forth. Zayn with the head scissors. It goes outside and Owens pushes Zayn into the apron and the ring steps. Owens kicks Zayn in the face. Back in, that gets a 2 count. Owens with a kick to the back of Zayn's head. He chops Zayn. They trade shots. Owens with a kick to Zayn's spine and a chin lock. He picks Zayn up and bounces him off the top rope and hits Zayn with the senton. Zayn coming back. Owens with an elbow. Zayn with a clothesline. Both down. Back up. Zayn with some shots. Owens with a kick to Zayn's face. Zayn with another clothesline. Zayn with some shots in the corner. Owens with a charge. Zayn hits a Blue Thunder bomb for a 2 count. They tussle. Owens with some shots. Another Blue Thunder bomb by Zayn. A close 2 count. A "This is awesome" chant goes out. Owens with a knee shot for a 2 count. Owens goes up top and hits a frog splash for a 2.5 count. That's a nice Eddie Guerrero tribute. An Eddie chant goes out. Owens with a corner clothesline. Owen hits 2 cannonballs and goes for the pop-up, and Zayn counters with a drop kick. Zayn with a released German suplex. Owens counters with a clothesline. Both are down. A "Yes" chant goes out. A "This is awesome" chant goes out as well. They trade right hands. Owens with a knee. He goes for a powerbomb, but Zayn does a roll-up for a 2 count. Zayn goes to run the tightrope, but Owens counters with a backbreaker. They trade shots on the apron. Owens gets a kick and goes for the powerbomb, but Zayn hits a backdrop. Zayn runs on the outside, flies through the second rope, and delivers a DDT on Owens on the floor. That was an awesome spot. Zayn goes for the hell of a kick, but Owens hits a super kick and a powerbomb for the pin. Incredible match. Incredible match that these two had. Owens slaps Zayn and throws him out of the ring. Owens yells at Byron Saxton to get a microphone and come in the ring. He yells that he did it. He beat Sami. He says he's the better man. He says that he is going to refocus on getting the Intercontinental Championship back. Saxton tells him that the IC title match is next, so he said he's going to do commentary for that match. Owens joins commentary. Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz with Maurice versus Cesaro. Miz starts out working on the arm. Cesaro with an arm lock into a pin attempt. Cesaro with a gut-wrench suplex. That gets a 2 count. A tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Cesaro gets a 2 count. Cesaro puts Miz on the top rope and drop kicks him to the apron. Maurice grabs Miz's leg to keep him from being suplexed back in. Miz hits a double axe handle from the top rope. Miz with a big boot. Miz working on the injured shoulder of Cesaro. Cesaro breaks out. Miz with a backbreaker neckbreaker combo. He gets a 2 count. Cesaro with a sunset flip. Cesaro with forearm shots. Miz with a sleeper. Cesaro down to one knee, and Owens is annoying on commentary. Miz swings around to Cesaro as he powers back up and suplexes Miz. Cesaro with an uppercut. He hits several more. He hits 5 running uppercuts and a big kick for a 2 count. Miz with a shot, but Cesaro suplexes him in from the apron and gets a 2 count. Miz misses a running kick and gets rolled up for a 2 count. Cesaro hits a spinning corkscrew uppercut. He goes for the swing, but Miz kicks his head and goes for a DDT. But Cesaro tosses him up and uppercuts him. He gets a 2 count as Miz gets his foot on the ropes. Cesaro with a backslide for a 2 count. Another uppercut, but Cesaro misses a corner charge and hits the ring post. Miz hits the skull-crushing finale for a 2 count. Out of nowhere, Sami Zayn comes in and jumps over the announce table and attacks Kevin Owens. Cesaro hits the swing on Miz and gets the crossface. Owens and Zayn start brawling on the apron, and the referee is distracted as Miz is tapping. Cesaro pushes Zayn and Owens off the apron, and Miz comes from behind and gets the pin with a handful of tights. Cesaro attacks Miz after the match. He does a front-face piledriver. Owens then attacks Cesaro. Zayn then attacks Owens. Owens powerbombs Zayn. He goes to powerbomb Miz, but Maurice pulls him out of the ring. Owens holds the belt up. Flashback to what led to the Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose match. Then your current AEW wrestlers match of the evening. Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose. The Brazilian announce team is introduced. Then the Russian announce team and the Japanese announce team is introduced. Ambrose driving Jericho into the corner as they start. Ambrose with some chops to Jericho. Jericho rolls outside. Ambrose follows and chases him out of the ring. Back in, Ambrose hits a crossbody. He stomps Jericho's stomach. Jericho's backdrops Ambrose to the outside. Jericho follows it up with a baseball slide to Ambrose. Ambrose with a clothesline to Jericho. Jericho with a back elbow. Ambrose goes for dirty deeds, but they are not done dirt cheap. Jericho pushes off. He drops Ambrose gut first on the top rope. Jericho with a running drop kick. Ambrose falls to the outside, and the referee starts to count. Ambrose back in, and Jericho with another suplex. Jericho slaps Ambrose on the ground. Jericho with a headlock. Ambrose trying to power out. Dueling Let's Go Ambrose Y2J chants. Ambrose with a headbutt. Jericho with a drop kick. He gets a 2 count. Slingshot right into the bottom rope by Jericho on Ambrose. Jericho with an arm lock. Then a knee and chops in the corner. Jericho goes for a bulldog, but Ambrose pushes off and Jericho lands on the corner buckle. Ambrose with slaps and chops and headbutts and elbows. Flying forearm by Ambrose. Running charge in the corner to Jericho, and Ambrose hits the tornado DDT. That gets a 2 count. Jericho catches an elbow on a reversal. Ambrose throws Jericho to the apron. Jericho climbs up top and hits an axe handle coming off. He goes for the walls of Jericho, but Ambrose kicks off. Ambrose with a swinging neck breaker. Ambrose gets a 2 count. Ambrose with a bulldog for another 2 count. Ambrose goes up top. He misses the elbow drop, and Jericho goes for the walls of Jericho. Ambrose fighting it. He finally reaches the rope. Jericho with boots to the face. Jericho with a charge that Ambrose sidesteps, and Jericho goes crashing through the ropes to the outside. Ambrose dives through the ropes, driving Jericho back against the announce table. Ambrose tearing apart the German announce table. He goes for dirty deeds. Jericho counters and goes for the walls of Jericho again. Instead, he catapults Ambrose into the timekeeper's area. Jericho gets back in and tells the referee to count faster as Ambrose is crawling back into the ring. Ambrose just beats the count inside. Jericho goes for the code breaker. Ambrose blocks it. Ambrose with a lariat for a 2 count. Ambrose goes up top. Jericho catches him and pushes him off, and Ambrose hits the apron on the outside. Jericho goes for the springboard dropkick, but Ambrose catches him and clotheslines him on the top rope. Ambrose goes up top and drops the elbow on Jericho for a 2 count. The crowd can't believe it. Ambrose puts Jericho on the top rope going for a superplex, but Jericho headbutts him off. Jericho comes off and catches a boot from Ambrose, who goes for dirty deeds, but Jericho counters with a roll-up into the walls of Jericho. Ambrose dragging his body to the ropes, then turns his body around and reverses to roll Jericho up for a close 2 count. Jericho with an underhook backbreaker. That gets a 2 count. Back and forth. Ambrose with some shots. Jericho with a back elbow. He goes for the lion salt, but Ambrose gets his knees up. Ambrose hits dirty deeds, and this time it is done dirt cheap because he gets the pin. Back to back to back. Really good matches here. So after the inadvertent foul up with the opening tag match, they're really on a roll here. We then go to a tap out commercial. Mauro Ranallo talks to AJ Styles. He says he's going to become champion tonight, all by himself, without Gallows and Anderson. They are his friends, but it's a one-on-one match tonight. WWE Women's Championship match. Charlotte with Ric Flair versus Natalya with Bret Hart. Natalya with a quick takedown going for the sharpshooter. Charlotte moves. Natalya keeps up. A shoving match. Natalya with a takedown and leg grapevine. Natalya with a shoulder tackle. Charlotte with a leapfrog. Natalya again goes for the sharpshooter, so Charlotte bails. Natalya chases her back in the ring. Charlotte with a neck breaker. Charlotte choking Natalya. Charlotte with some knee drops. Natalya placed against the ropes and slapped. Back in, they open their own chop houses. Natalya with a German suplex. That gets a 2 count. Charlotte drops a knee on Natalya on the ropes. Charlotte with blows to Natalya, softening her up for the figure 8. She tries to tear the leg. She goes for the figure 8, but Natalya gets a roll up for a 2 count. Charlotte has a half crab on. Natalya reverses it into an armbar. Charlotte gets to the bottom rope. Charlotte with a suplex that drives Natalya's bad leg into the ropes. Charlotte goes up top, but gets caught and pushed off to the outside. Natalya goes for a baseball slide, but gets caught. Charlotte picks Natalya up to powerbomb Natalya into the apron, but Natalya turns it into a head scissors to get out. Natalya visibly limping. Back in, Charlotte with a big kick. She gets a 2 count. Charlotte goes for the figure 8 again, and Natalya slaps her down. Natalya with the discus clothesline. She gets a 2 count. Natalya goes for the sharpshooter, but Charlotte counters with a backbreaker. Charlotte hits natural selection for a 2 count. A kick out. Another pin attempt and another kick out. Charlotte getting frustrated. A natty chant goes out. Charlotte with a moonsault for a 2 count. Charlotte gets the figure 4 on and screams tap to Natalya, who's screaming no. Natalya reverses it. Charlotte gets to the ropes. Charlotte goes for the sharpshooter. The bell rings immediately, and referee Charles Robinson runs and gives the belt to Charlotte as she is announced the winner. Another Montreal ripoff. At that point in time, it had been almost 20 years. It's time not to do any more Montreal screwjob finishes. Ever. Bret Hart slugs Ric Flair in the ring. He gets Rick in the sharpshooter, while Natalya puts Charlotte in the sharpshooter. Both are tapping. They finally let go. Vince McMahon out to announce who is going to run Raw, Shane or Stephanie. The crowd greets him with a CM Punk chant. Only in Chicago, folks. Vince ignores them and goes on about Raw until they start again, and he says he wonders how long they can go with this thing. They get louder. He said this is a crazy crowd. When he brings up his children, Shane gets cheered and Stephanie gets booed. He brings Stephanie out. She gets loudly booed. Stephanie says that she can be booed, but she will always be there, unlike Shane, who left for several years. Shane comes out to big cheers. A Shane O'Mac chant goes out. He shows recent headlines from all the changes he has made. A yes chant goes out. He talks about why he left and how Stephanie has kept the company from fulfilling its mission. The crowd cheers. They boo Stephanie and cheer Shane. Vince is very angry. Vince says he doesn't listen to anyone but himself and what he wants. He says he wants blood. They will either destroy each other or get along because they are both going to run Raw. Renee Young brings on the panel of Corey Graves, Jerry Lawler, and Booker T to talk about what all has happened. Lawler says both McMahon's running Raw isn't going to work. Graves talks about Sami Zayn attacking Kevin Owens. Booker T says Dean Ambrose earns some respect tonight. They show some highlights from the pre-show matches earlier. They then preview Camp WWE debuting after Payback. Flashback to what has led up to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles. Michael Cole updates that Enzo Amore has suffered a concussion, but that all other tests were negative. Styles comes out to a good reaction. Reigns with a mixed reaction. Reigns booed when introduced in the ring. An AJ Styles chant goes out. Reigns pushes Styles. They circle each other. Styles with a side headlock and goes for a takeover. Reigns blocks it and pushes off. Styles back to the side headlock. Reigns goes to power out. Styles flips and kicks Reigns' hamstring. An AJ Styles chant goes out again. Styles with more kicks to Reigns' leg. Reigns with a back body drop. Styles ducks a clothesline and hits a modified arm drag, and Reigns rolls out. Reigns slow to get back in. Styles ducks Reigns' right hand and hits a forearm. Styles rolls out and taunts Reigns to come out. When he does, Styles rolls back in and kicks Reigns over and over as he follows. Reigns comes back with a shoulder tackle that knocks Styles out of the ring. Back in, Styles goes back to work on the leg of Reigns with stiff kicks. Styles hits a big knee and forearms. Styles goes for a German suplex, but Reigns is fighting it with back elbows. Reigns catches Styles with a big clothesline that spins him around. Reigns goes for a pin, but lifts Styles up at one and slams him down hard again. Reigns with a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. Reigns goes for the Superman punch, but Styles hits a big enziguri. Reigns stunned. Styles with some quick shots and a clothesline. Then Styles hits a running forearm, a fireman's carry into a backbreaker for a 2 count. Styles with some chops in the corner. He goes for a corner charge, but Reigns backdrops him to the apron. Styles with a forearm shot, and then he goes for a springboard. Reigns catches him in a fireman's carry. Styles with elbows and knees to get out, and he grabs Reigns from behind, but Reigns with back elbows of his own. Styles rolls through and gets the calf crusher on Reigns. Reigns gets to the ropes and rolls out. He is limping. Styles with a forearm, as Reigns tries to get back in, knocking him back down again. Styles does the phenomenal forearm to Reigns on the outside, driving him through the announce table. Styles tries to get Reigns back in to beat the count, but can't, so he rolls in as the referee reaches 10 and the bell rings. He is announced as the winner by countout, although Reigns retains the title. Shane McMahon's music hits. He says the match will restart with no countouts. The bell rings again. Styles goes up top, but Reigns rolls too far away. Styles comes over, and Reigns does a modified jawbreaker with his head to stun Styles. Styles hits the Pele kick. Styles goes for the 450 splash, but Reigns gets his knees up. He gets a 2 count. Styles with a kick to Reigns. Styles goes up top, but Reigns gets a shot to his groin as he is coming off. The referee calls for the disqualification. Styles wins by disqualification. I bet you can figure out what happens next, and as the saying goes, wouldn't you know who won the pony? Stephanie comes out and restarts the match with no disqualifications. Styles with chops, and Reigns puts him on the top rope and slaps him to the outside. Styles runs into the ring steps. He then drives Styles on top of the barricade with a kick. He throws Styles over the barricade to the crowd. Reigns goes out after Styles. Styles with a flying clothesline to send Reigns back to ringside over the barricade into the Spanish announce table. Styles with a knee to the back of the neck. AJ Styles, Roman Reigns dueling chants go out. Styles goes for the phenomenal forearm, but Reigns hits the Superman punch. He gets a 2.5 count. Reigns with another Superman punch. Gallows and Anderson come down and pull Styles out of the ring. They attack Reigns. They hit the boot of doom on Reigns. They then leave the ring. Styles struggling to get back into the ring. He gets on the apron and hits the phenomenal forearm on Reigns in the ring. He gets a 2 count, but Reigns gets his foot on the bottom rope. The Usos come out and fight with Gallows and Anderson. Styles goes up top, but Reigns pushes him off and he lands on the 4 men fighting outside. Reigns then does a plancha to the group outside, but Styles wasn't there. He pops up behind the barricade and hits a phenomenal forearm to Reigns. He tries to get Reigns back in the ring. Styles hits the 450 splash. He gets a 2.5 count. Styles goes for the Styles Clash, but Reigns backdrops Styles out of the ring. But Styles holds on to the ropes. Reigns goes for the Superman punch, but Styles catches him in a stun gun and goes for the phenomenal forearm, but Reigns ducks. Reigns hits the spear. He then pins Styles. Fantastic match. Both men gave it their all. This was the match of the night for me. It was close, but this was the match of the night. Reigns leans against the ropes, sitting down with the WWE title. He gets up and raises the title. Vince, Shane, and Stephanie are shown backstage. He says congratulations to both of them, and they think Styles deserves a rematch at Extreme Rules. They then sign off from Chicago. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at @TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review in iTunes or Apple Podcasts. It helps people to find the show. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from stately Maine Manor.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.